Alright, Chapter 7, Section 1 is over Canada, and what you just heard was a part of Canada's national anthem entitled O Canada. Go ahead and add these terms to your comp book. Make sure you title it Chapter 7, Section 1 Canada at the top. When you're finished, you can resume the video. Let's start by taking a look at Canada's geography. Now looking at the globe, you can see the outline of North America. When we zoom in a little bit further, now you can see the outlines of the countries. What I'm highlighting is the border between Canada and the United States. So let's take a look at Canada. Now Canada is a little bit different than the United States, because in our country we have 50 states. However, Canada has 10 provinces, which you can see the outline of now. Their national capital is called Ottawa, which is located right here. Another major city for Canada is Toronto. Toronto is a beautiful city, somewhat comparable to New York City in the United States. Their downtown area, as you can see, has lots of skyscrapers and buildings that come in all different shapes and sizes. For those of you that are sports fans, especially Texas Rangers fans, you'll know that the Toronto Blue Jays play baseball here in Rogers Center. Located next to Rogers Center is one of the tallest buildings in the world, and that is the CN Tower. If you ever find yourself in Toronto, you should try and make your way all the way up to the top to see the beautiful landscape of the city. But you better make sure you have $75 on hand, because it's kind of expensive. A major geographic feature that the United States and Canada both share is Niagara Falls. As you can see here, the smaller falls located here, called Angel Falls, are located on the United States side in New York. However, on the Canadian side, you see the more iconic Niagara Falls, which are called the Horseshoe Falls. Amazing thing about these falls is that they erode about 1 foot every year. So 100 years ago, these falls were 100 feet further up than they are today. Now, Canada is the second largest country in the world, and the United States is the third largest. Besides Niagara Falls that was mentioned earlier, they also feature the Rocky Mountains, which the Rockies extend from the United States here all the way up into Canada and even up into Alaska. Canada is very similar to the United States in many ways. We'll talk about some in another day in class, but one way they're similar is that they have a democratic government just like us. Canada has a region of rocky uplands, lakes, and swamps that's called the Canadian Shield. This feature curves around the Hudson Bay in this direction and covers about half of the country overall. Further north, Canada stretches all the way up to the Arctic Circle. The land up here is covered with ice year-round. Because of its closeness to the Arctic Circle, very few people live in northern Canada. Majority of the people live in the southern areas where it's warmer, particularly down here near the Great Lakes region. Wildlife in the northern parts of Canada, you will find polar bears and Arctic wolves. Majority of this soil up here is called permafrost, which means that it's permanently frozen year-round. Go ahead and write down these 4 main climate types for Canada into your comp book, and resume the video when you're finished. As you can imagine, Canada's location greatly influences the climate type. Since it is far north of the equator, Canada receives cool to freezing temperatures all year long. Obviously, the further north you go, the colder it's going to get. Majority of central and northern Canada have subarctic climate. The far north areas have tundra and ice cap climates. If you go along the eastern parts and along the southern border, you will find humid continental climate. As mentioned earlier, this is where majority of the people live. These areas have rainy winters and mild temperatures, but their winters, besides rainy, can be very harsh, including lots of snowfall. At this time, write down these resources in your comp book, and, well, you know the drill. Continue when you're finished. Canada is very rich with natural resources. Fish can be found off of the coasts and are very common. Sometimes overfishing can lead to Canadians losing their jobs. Overfishing is where you fish too much and take too many of the fish away from the ocean. Therefore, there aren't enough to reproduce. Minerals can be found along the Canadian Shield. Canada is a main source of the world's nickel, zinc, and uranium. Lead, copper, gold, and silver are also important here. Another major resource found all throughout Canada are forests. As you can see here in this picture, vast areas of forests stretch across most of Canada. These trees provide lumber and pulp. Pulp is when you take softened wood fibers and you use them to make paper. The United States, United Kingdom, and Japan get majority of their paper from companies in Canada. There are many celebrities that are famous in the United States that actually come from Canada. Here are a few that you've probably heard of before. Actress Ellen Page, actor Ryan Gosling, rapper Drake, singer Celine Dion, actor Ryan Reynolds, and well, actually Canada can have this guy back. So that's it over the geography of Canada. Make sure you have those notes in your comp book, and we'll discuss more in class tomorrow.